Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are walking into the Manukau Event Center for the Retro Event Volume 7. Now, I didn't end up filming very much at this show. It was really busy and I just wasn't really feeling it. So this is just going to be a quick kind of run through of all the various Transformers I did end up seeing. And this certainly is a big convoy right here. I still don't have any big convoys. You can see this booth here has a couple of headmasters. Never really went in for those boys. One of the Ecto 1s there, and then just a Studio Series Jazz down here. Some Masterpiece stuff here, as well as the Autobot Headquarters Dramatic Capture set. Nothing that I'm looking for, though. And this is Scorponok's B Life Partner from Beast Wars. This chunky guy is the Megatron Powerbots toy for Revenge of the Fallen. I thought he looked pretty cute, but he was 30 bucks. Come on, man. This booth here had Magmatron, who's still, I think, on clearance at most Toy World stores here for like 100 bucks. And Cable Guy's Optimus Prime. Pretty decent deals to be found here at this booth. We've got Kingdom RC and Studio Series Hot Rod, both for $40. And then Superior on here for $300. I did have a look at the Studio Series Blitzwing at this booth, but he was in pretty rough shape, so I passed. Now this is the kind of Bayverse slop that I love. Robot Heroes is a line of little plastic figures for literal babies, and they're only $5 each. You know I had to pick some of these up. I was too busy digging through figures to film, but you know we picked some stuff up from the legendary Bo and the Bot Brothers, absolute legends in the New Zealand Transformer scene. Definitely recommend to give them a follow on Facebook and Instagram. That's actually where I got the photos you're seeing on screen now from, so definitely go ahead and check them out. And that was the end of my day at the Retro Event, but you know I had to get some of that sweet American pie. Let's go to the Newmarket Mall now. We're in this little store called Gotcha that sells little trinkets and junk, and I saw they had some of the new Defenders sets, so I picked one of those up in the hopes that I'll get Beast Wars Megatron. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, they had a pretty good blocky section in general. Some of these, like the Batman ones, I had actually never seen in person, so pretty cool seeing those. Speaking of blockies, let's go into Farmer's Newmarket, where we've got a lot of the classic class, including the newer stuff there. Some Defenders. I don't really go too hard with the blockies, so I'm not too sure what's new, what's old. And you can see we've got a lot of Razor Claw. I could see this one becoming a potential pretty big shelf warmer. I know Farmers had him in Big Convoy at a pretty big discount maybe a couple months ago. I kind of wish I had bought Big Convoy now, but I didn't. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, just kind of the usual stuff here. Scourge, Battle Damage Optimus, Convoy, Nemesis Prime. And just among the Mario stuff, I saw they had this import SH Figure Arts Mario. Really strange to see an import figure like this in Farmers. Since it's on the way back down to Hamilton, let's see what they've got at Toy World Manukau today. You know, it's always the case at Toy World. They've got a lot of stuff, but it is pretty expensive. A couple of big convoys, Battle Damaged Optimus, Razor Claw behind him, Hot Rod, Thundercrackers of both Gamer and G1 variety, and then just a ton of Gamer Ironhide. Speaking of battle damage, you'll notice in this clip my thumb is bleeding. I don't know when or where that happens. That's strange. Anyway, they've got Hound, B127, Snipe Barricade still on the shelves, and if we come down here, we can see they've got plenty of the retro carded Outback. Now, I picked him up a couple months ago. He is a cool figure, so I'm glad he's readily available. Mo2 crossover stuff on clearance for a slightly more reasonable price now. As much as I love my Bayverse stuff, I just hate the last night, so I can't justify spending 40 bucks on this guy. Q back there for 30 bucks. I paid full price for him, so I'm really a sucker there. And just a TF1 Elita 1 hiding back here.
1 week later.
Alright buddies, it's now 1 week later, and I had some time to kill before Toy Story 5 started, so I went over to Farmers here in central Hamilton. And as you'd expect, they've still got plenty of Devastation Primes, B127s. Then we've got TF1 Arachnid and Hound here, but not too much in the way of deluxes. Now, we did have down the Voyagers. We had Scourge, we had Hot Rod, we had Wreck-Gar still hanging around, that boy right there with his head pushed in. We have the retro-carded wheelies. These are the first time that I've seen these. That's pretty cool to see something new here. They did have the retro Outbacks as well, but we had already seen those at Toy World. Couple of battle damage Optimus or leaders, and then down here we've got the Commander Armada Optimus. Now I really want this guy, but I'm not a big Armada fan, so I'll wait for a pretty good sale. Now, did the warehouse have anything that made it worth crossing the street on this wet and cold morning? And the answer to that would be not really. A couple of Razor Claws here. I feel like Razor Claw will be shelf warming for a while, so no rush to pick that one up. A couple of Waspinators still hanging around in the way of deluxes, and we've got heaps of the retro carded Outback, so it seems like he's going to be pretty widely distributed now, which is good to see as he's a good figure. Yeah, quick strike there, but nothing too crazy. And there's our old friend Devastation Optimus. And then coming down here, we've got some of these Jada metal figures. I don't really know who the audience is for these, but they're everywhere. So speaking of those metal figs, we've got some of the bigger, chunkier ones here, including an Optimus Primal. It's always cool to see him included with the other, like, evergreen Transformers characters. I found this in the toy section, and I'm not sure if it's meant to be for sale or somebody just left this on the shelf, but either way, it's kind of weird. Toy Story 5 was okay, by the way. Another week later, and today we're at the Toppo Collectibles Event. Going to be digging through people's bins of stinky old plastic, so let's see what we can find. Got here about a half hour before the show opened. You can see there's already a decent line out the door, so good to see the show is doing pretty well. And as usual for me at these type of events, my first stop was the Bot Brothers table. They had tons of Transformers at really good prices, just like the Studio Series Jolt here. I did end up picking him up. You can see there's far too many for me to go through and name everything that I saw. I was mostly on the lookout for any Bayverse, old Bayverse, or Studio Series stuff, and they definitely had a lot of that here. You can see there's Age of Extinction Galvatron there. And I did see this old Voyager Ratchet mold. Now, this is a mold I've been after for a while. This is the Desert Tracker Revenge of the Fallen repaint, so pretty cool to pick that one up as well. And they had everything in these little bins here, so moving into the second bin here, there's plenty of good stuff in this one as well. I saw this Revenge of the Fallen long haul. Now, I do already have the Studio Series, but I love how the Revenge of the Fallen figure is bigger and more intimidating, so I did pick him up as well. Now, I do put him back in this clip, but I ended up picking him up. I think this is a Byway Hogtane Bumblebee. Anyway, as you can see, tons of great stuff here. Way too much for me to name all of it. I can see there's actually a third-party Brawn there that I kind of wish I had picked up. Little Legend Scale Outback, and then we've got Dark of the Moon Roadbuster, who I kind of wish I had picked up as well. Now, this table here had mostly newer releases, but they were all sealed in the box and all either at retail or maybe just a little bit above retail, which isn't too bad if you missed out on any of these figures new in the store. Like I can see they have Blast Off. They did have Brawn as well, so if you were missing any pieces for Bruticus, hey, you can find some of them here. It's a giraffe! Damn, they got the Sam Witwicky with sword slashing and knife throwing action. I have no idea why, but I feel like I see this burnt Chef Homer at every toy show. Now, this table here was interesting because it's like they were an Optimus collector, but not a Transformers collector. They had Kingdom Optimus, Siege Nemesis Prime, the War for Cybertron Trilogy Optimus, and the Siege Classic Animation Redeco. These people have way more Optimuses than I do. No, I've just been getting into Transformers Armada. For whatever reason, I didn't watch it as a kid when my friends did, but this vendor here had a lot of the big name characters like Demolisher and Cyclonus, Sideways that I would know. I've actually got this Scorponok mold. I got it in a lot. Tidal Wave's really cool and really awesome, so maybe I'll become the #1 Armada fan. Just a sad, lonely Waspinator at this booth in his little baggie here. And if I'm going to be listening to AM radio, I'm going to listen to it through Optimus Prime. This is one of those weird toys I had as a kid. He has real chest hair. It felt kind of gross and greasy. Now, I came back around because at the time, I did think this was the original Studio Series Ironhide. Turns out it is the Byway Improved KO. Either way, I'm happy to pick it up for the price. Now, on the way out, I did see this booth that had Revenge of the Fallen, Mixmaster, Demolisher, and Rampage. Now, they were all pretty dingy and beat up, but looked to be mostly complete. I did make a lowball offer and get Mixmaster and Demolisher, but I passed on Rampage because I didn't want them. Finished up at the toy show and decided to do a little toy hunting around town, so into Farmers we go. Now, I've had some success at this Farmers in the past. This is where I found the Studio Series 86 Soundwave last year, right when he first came out. And now today it was mostly more of the same. Got the Hot Wheels guys right there, Devastation Optimus. We've got Hound, as well as tons of Scourge and Hot Rod, so if you're still looking for those guys, they're certainly around, so nice to see them. We've got the Retro Card Wheelie here with Outback behind him. Then coming down here, we've got tons of Armada Optimus, as well as the battle damaged Studio Series 86 Optimus. I don't like the hole in his chest, so I'm not getting him. Brawl, Wreck-Gar, and Amalgamus Prime, and then a single Nemesis Prime here. Let's go across the street to the warehouse now. I've never had much success at this warehouse. I don't think I've ever seen very much Transformers here at all. It does say Transformers on the sign, though, so let's go have a look and see what they've got. And as I come down the toy aisle, this is the first thing I see. I'm like, is this the only Transformers here? I'm going to be pretty upset if they're, listing them on the sign and this is all they've got. Thank God I don't have to get too upset because we've got the Jada Metal Fix down here. Then we've got Amalgamus Prime with a Wreck-Gar behind him. And then towards the back, I can see that we've got Brawl here as well. So a couple of things here, but not very much. And I think the coolest thing about Toppo is that you can eat McDonald's inside of this decommissioned plane here. So this is probably the closest you can ever get to eating McDonald's inside a Transformer. Something else that's really cool is this realistic Garfield mural. Alright gang, it is now the 30th of June. I'm back in my home city of Hamilton. It's a beautiful winter day, and I hear talk there's lots of new Transformers on store shelves, so let's go see what we can find. Alright gang, I'm back in my old workplace of JB Hi-Fi. You guys ever go into your old work? Isn't it weird? Anyway, they've got Scourge and Hot Rod. They've got Battle Damage Optimus. They've got Studio Series Grimlock, who I picked up at a shop for some reason. Coming down here, you can see we've got Hound, as well as Dark of the Moon Wheeljack, or Q, whatever you like to call him. He's been shelf warming here for quite a while. Either way, pretty cool to see some new stuff at JB finally, even if it's not the latest and greatest that we're looking for. Walking into Farmers at 10 a.m. on Tuesday like an old granny. Now let's see what they've got. First thing I can see, we've got the big Convoy as well as Nemesis Prime. I like this big chunky Scorponok. We've got the retro carded wheelies as well as Outback. And we've also got a great shelf warmer here in Gamer Edition Ironhide. Speaking of shelf warmers, we've still got plenty of Red Alert. Now I've been watching Armada. I kind of want to get him finally. Scourge here, B127, Wheeljack, so yeah. Not looking good for us finding the new stuff like Starscream or the Insecticons 3-pack that I know people have been finding at farmers lately. Coming down to the leader class stuff, we've got Razorclaw, Big Convoy, and then we've got the Commander Armada Optimus, who I do really want now that I've been watching Armada, so waiting for a big sale on him. And then just a quick squiz of the blocky stuff here. Now, I'm not the biggest blockies collector. I do like some of them. I've got mostly the little Defender guys, and these classic class guys they've got down here at the bottom. I am interested in some of the Bayverse ones. I've got the Movie 1 Megatron, still haven't built it yet. Let's go to the other side of the mall now and check out the warehouse where you can see we've got plenty of Arachnid and Devastation Primes. It's a quick strike there. Pretty cool figure. I don't think he's selling particularly well. It's a relatively obscure Beast Wars dude. But then finally we've got something new. We've got Prowl here. This is a guy I was looking to pick up, so I'm definitely going to get him today. I'll put him aside there. Yeah, it looks like we do have heaps of Prowl, so very good for anyone who's looking to get him. Still tons of Devastation Optimus B127, obviously. We've got the retro-carded wheelie over there as well. Coming down here, we've got Blast Stuff. Now, I feel like he's been one of the harder Combaticons to find, so I'm always happy when we do see him on store shelves. Looking at the Voyagers here, we've got Wreck-Gar and Amalgamus Prime. I didn't see any of the Brawl. We've got a couple of Thundercrackers here too. And then finally at the back, we had Hot Rod, who I ended up moving to the front, so just so people could see they had him too. There he goes. Now, just on the topic of Wreck-Gar here, I do love animated, but I wasn't really interested in this figure. But now that I really want the new animated Deluxe Ratchet, I'm thinking, well, I've already got like all the other new generation's takes on these animated characters. Do I need Wreck-Gar to be a completionist? Back in the car now, and you guys can see I've got Prowl, as well as a Subway sandwich, which will be my lunch. So even though he wasn't on sale, and I probably could have waited to get him for 20% off, the warehouse often does that, I wanted something new today, so that's why I bought him. And, you know, he's pretty cool. He fills a spot in my G1 collection, so neat. How's it going, everyone? It's actually July 2nd right now. I wasn't planning to make this part of the video, but as I was editing my toy hunts for the last month, I checked on Farmers and I saw that the Armada Optimus, I'll put him right up here, is down to $99. Now that's a crazy good deal. So I'm back out here at the base today. I'm gonna pick that one up. Hopefully they've still got him in stock, and have a look and see if anything else has changed in the last 2 days, because it was 2 days ago I filmed that last video. Back in Farmers now, and you can immediately see the shelves are a lot more stocked. We've got the Insecticons 3-pack here. I was looking to pick this one up. 20% off on toys, but a little bit annoying that these are $125 here. The base price is $120 at Toy World. It's really rare for Toy World to be cheaper than Farmers, but eh. Now, as you would have seen a couple days ago, they still got Red Alert and Hot Rod. Now, among new figures, I can see that we've got Prowl, who I did pick up at the warehouse a couple days ago. Even more importantly, though, we've got Starscream. This is my first time seeing him anywhere. That's definitely one I need to pick up today. This brings us to the reason we came in today, which was Armada Optimus. Now, I can see we've got his buddy Red Alert, but it looks like there's a big gaping hole where he should be. Just having a quick look up here where we can see they've got the Commander 2-pack, Constructicons, Big Convoy, Nemesis Prime, but no Armada Optimus. We're going to have to keep looking. All right, everybody, I've made it back to my car, and as you can see, I now have Armada Optimus, so it was successful. What ended up happening was they had him behind the counter. I saw two of them, and there was a lady at the counter, so I go up to her and I said, hey, are those big Optimus Primes? Are those still available? And she's like, oh yeah, some fella came in here yesterday. He had bought two of them because it was buy one, get one half off. He came back and returned them because his wife said he spends too much money. So if that was you, thank you for returning this Optimus. So I was talking to her, I was like, oh yeah, all the trans fans are gonna be running down here to get this great deal, $100 for this Optimus. That's crazy. And she just looked confused and disgusted, so I figured I'll end this conversation as quickly as possible. We've been sitting here at the railway crossing for like a full minute, and there's no train. I was going to use this time to talk a little bit about the Studio Series Astro train, if you guys are getting that figure or have gotten that one. But no, there's no train. I don't have an Astro train, so maybe I should get it. How's it going, everyone? We've reached the point in the video where I will show you everything that I've bought Transformers-wise for the month of June. And as you can see, we can barely fit everything into the frame here. There's so many dudes on this table. You may recognize the dining room table here from such famous videos like opening a big stinky box of Transformers, and we've got some Transformers on the table again today, slightly less stinky this time, hopefully. The first thing we'll have a look at is some of the stuff I bought at the Retro Event. Now, the Retro Event is New Zealand's biggest toy and collectible event. They do it twice a year up in Auckland, and there's usually some good Transformers there, and the first thing I picked up was this. So this is the Legacy Tarantulas. I've been working on completing my little Beast Wars modern interpretations for a while now. You may know notice that he's missing a couple of his legs. Unfortunately, missing 2 on this side and then 1 over here as well. Not too big of a deal. I know some people did lose those legs as this was an open face packaging back when Hasbro was doing that. And these are on pretty loose ball joints, so not an ideal situation, but I do have access to a 3D printer, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Yeah, nice little pickup there. Now, if you know me, you know I love Bayverse junk, and there was so much of it put out for the first 2 movies in particular. We had M&Ms, we had toothbrushes, we had sleeping bags. Now, these here are Robot Heroes. These are just little plastic, obviously non-transforming figurines. We got Ironhide and Mixmaster there. And these were kind of, I guess, if you're transitioning from baby toys to big boy toys like we play with, these are kind of a good medium ground, middle ground there. Ages 3 and up, so, we're all over 3 here, I assume. I do wonder if any actual babies watch my channel, just like put it on an iPad and they enjoy my voice. I really hope so. Optimus and Barricade there. And then we've got Jazz, who we'll see more of in a little bit, and Megatron. It's kind of an interesting Megatron. Geez, $12.99. That's crazy back in 2007. Anyway, the reason I picked these up is they're actually pretty cheap. I picked up another set, which was Optimus and Blackout, recently at another toy event for $10, and I got these all for $5 each. Now, I did try to lowball the dude and say if he would give me a good deal if I bought all of them. He didn't really go for it, so I did pay the $5 each on these, but that's so cheap, I can't complain too much, can I? I feel like I'm slowly getting to the point where I may eventually have every robot hero, and if that's the case, maybe I'll make a whole robot hero video just about, here's every movieverse robot hero. I think Brawl here is my favorite. Let's put aside childish things like robot heroes and talk about proper Transformers for us men. This is the 2007 Deluxe Jazz here, not a figure that I ever owned. So this is the Allspark Power, some such other subline. It's got all these blue accents. You can see his battle mask looks like blue Gatorade. I want to drink him up. It's Jazz. It's a pretty bulky figure. It's not the most accurate, of course. The Studio Series, the Masterpiece, the Human Alliance. They're all going to be more accurate, but this was the first one. He didn't come with his goofy weapon, but for the price I paid, I don't really care too much, so I'm pretty happy to have this guy in my collection. This is a figure I remember one of my friends having when I was a kid, so a little bit nostalgic, even though I never owned it myself, so I'm happy to have you, Jazz. Now, a couple weeks after the retro event, I did go over to the Taupo Collectibles event, and I went back to the Bot Brothers booth, which is where I got those other 2 figures from in Auckland, and I picked up this dude here. So this is the Voyager Movie 1 Ratchet mold, but in the Revenge of the Fallen Desert Tracker repaint colors. Similar to Jazz, this is about the least accurate Ratchet figure you can get, other than maybe the Robot Heroes, but hey, that doesn't transform. He's way too bulky, his proportions are way off, but in saying that, he is a nostalgic figure. And of course, he is also in what I would call played with condition. He didn't come with a little roof rack shield, and you can see there's some damage on the actual peg where it would peg into. But that's okay, because he was really cheap as well, and I think he's pretty cool, and I'm glad to own this mold, even if it's not particularly accurate. I think if you actually get them together here, I think they look pretty good together. If you were a kid in 2007, this would have been your Jazz and this would have been your Ratchet. And I like to pretend I'm a kid in 2007 again, so that's good for me. Now, on the topic of old movie toys, I also picked up from the Bot Brothers the Revenge of the Fallen Voyager class long haul here. This is not a figure that I ever owned, but I do find it pretty nostalgic. I remember being one that I would look at in the stores around the time of Revenge of the Fallen. I don't know why, but I always found the Voyager class figures to have the coolest packaging around that time. Now, I do own the Studio Series long haul, but I feel like there's a certain appeal to this guy as well. He's a much bigger figure. He's got some more features here. Like he's got the little, flip out blade, yeah. Oh, let's see, let's get the other one. Yeah. So things like that are really cool. And he reminds me a lot of the Revenge of the Fallen video game, which I did play back when it came out. And that's a pretty good game. And I like long haul. He's probably one of my favorite of the Bayverse Constructicon designs. Probably my favorite of the designs. So now this figure was also redecoed as Payload. I kind of wish I had that one instead, but hey, he's mean, he's green, he's gonna wash his butt real clean. Let's keep it going with the old Bayverse Constructicons. We've got Demolisher and we've got Mixmaster here. So I actually found these on the way out. The booth they were at was right in front of the exit, and I saw these and they're not in the best shape. They're a little bit dirty. We keep saying played with condition. I think both of these would fit that description pretty well. Now, they look to be mostly complete. I'm not going to try to transform these. I've always heard Mixmaster is one of the more difficult mainline Transformers to transform. Demolisher's got the, melting, eating itself rubber treads. They're a little bit sticky. I definitely will give them a play at some point and get them transformed, but just don't have time right now as I am preparing for a big international trip very shortly. So more about that later. When I was buying these, I made the guy a cheap offer because I think he had $20 each on them, and I offered offered, I think 30 bucks for both, maybe 20 bucks. He had that Rampage as well, and he's like, oh, don't you want Rampage so I can combine? I'm like, no, I don't need him. If only he knew, if only he knew. And let's move on to some of these Studio Series figures that I picked up. We've got Jolt here. I've always liked Jolt. I've liked his design. I like the car he's based on. It's kind of like, I like when Transformers are based on really boring cars because they are trying to be disguised. So what's more disguised than a boring regular traffic car? Anyway, this is Jolt here. I haven't really had too much of a chance to play with him. He didn't come with his weird sticks that I don't really like as a weapon, but again, I'm fine with that for the price I paid. I think he has a pretty cute face as well. And just going back to an old Bayverse Deluxe like Jazz, I looked at Jazz and I transformed him from his Pontiac Solstice into his robot mode. No instructions, like 3 minutes. I wouldn't even attempt that with a modern Studio Series carbot. I know I'm not the best at transforming these guys. You guys would probably blow me away on that front, but they're just so fiddly, and I need to have the instructions or an MGO video or something playing just so I can follow along. Hey, hats off to this guy. A kid could have got this figure, not even looked at those instructions, and just, bam, he's a robot. This guy, I don't know, I'm not so sure. And my final purchase at the Taupo Collectibles event was the Byway Weapon Master, also known as Studio Series Ironhide. When I actually saw this guy in his vehicle mode package, I thought he was Studio Series Ironhide, so I was like, oh wow, what a great price on that one. Even with it being Weapon Master, the Byway KO, I'm completely fine with that because I've considered buying this figure many times on AliExpress. I've just never pulled the trigger, and having it in front of me, I guess, was what I needed to make that happen. I love Ironhide. He was my favorite Movieverse character as a kid. I apologize, I just did like a quick and dirty transformation on him, so I'm not sure if everything is in the right place. The legs feel a little bit funny to me, but I'm not sure. Biggest issue with this boy here, he was missing his cannons. Now, I do think they sell this as like a figure-only figure on AliExpress, and that's probably how the person originally acquired it. That's not an issue to me. I have access to a 3D printer, so there's lots of options to print out different replacement cannons, things like that. So not too big of a concern there. He does look a little bit naked, doesn't he, though, without all the big guns? That's kind of what you know Ironhide for. Anyway, glad to have this guy finally, so I have an Ironhide for my Studio Series shelf. SSS, Studio Series shelf. That was hard to say. So I actually completely forgot to include this dude when I was talking about my pickups from the retro event back at the beginning of June. But this is animated Starscream. I love Transformers animated. I was mentioning when I was showing off long haul that I really like the style of Voyager boxes back then, and Voyagers are the figures. For whatever reason, when I see them in this packaging, I'm just like, man, that is nostalgic. I'm on the fence, do I open this boy up and put him with the rest of my animated shelf? The rest of my animated figures are all open on display, or do I leave him in this beautiful nostalgic box? I'm leaning towards keeping the packaging because it's just so cool. I don't know, let me know, you guys. What do you think? You think I should keep him sealed, minty fresh, or do you think I should open him up and have a play with him? I do want to open him, I'll tell you that much. All right, so if you've just been waiting to see all the new stuff that I picked up, this is where that part will start now. This is all the stuff that I bought from your regular retail stores. I think most of these came from farmers, except for Prowl here. He came from the warehouse. Now, Prowl's not a character that I have a particular affinity for. I actually prefer the animated version if I was going to talk about my favorite Prowl, but he is one of the original 18 G1 Autobots, and I feel like I need to have him represented in some plastic form on my shelf. Now, obviously, it would be better if he was using the accurate head, but I wouldn't have even noticed that unless people had told me about that. I'm just not hardcore enough with my G1 stuff, guys. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, Prowl, I'm glad to get him. Now, as you would have seen, that was technically everything I picked up in June, but a couple of days ago, I saw that Farmers had a sale on Armada Optimus, finally bring him down to a price where I was comfortable paying for him. And when I went over there, I saw that they did have this guy out on the shelf as well. This is Studio Series Starscream. Now, Starscream is in pretty desperate need of a new mold. I do have the Earthrise Starscream currently on my G1 guys shelf. This is definitely going to fit a lot better, and I'm going to be happy to move on from that one. I never thought that was a particularly bad figure or anything, but the new Seeker mold is a big step up. I already had Thundercrackers. To get Starscream to go along with him, I'm pretty happy. I'm going to have to get Skywarp now. Skywarp is my least favorite of the main Seekers, but hey, I know some people love them. I'm excited to finally get these toys open and actually play with them, but that won't be for a little while because I am actually going to be traveling overseas in a couple of days, so I'm just going to leave everything as it is for now. Then when I get back, I'll have a lot of toys waiting for me. It'll be like a little Christmas. And speaking of new toys, I also got the Studio Series 3-pack of the Insecticons. I didn't own any of these molds previously, and I know the deco is a little bit hit and miss for people online. I personally like the kind of flatter colors on these, and I think these are the ones that I would prefer to own. And I think it's just cool to see Transformers in like a 3-pack like this. You don't see that super often. I really want to squish those Energon cubes. I feel like they should be Nidos. I want Nido. But I don't have Nido, but I do have Insecticons and Energon cubes, so I'm happy to have these as well. I don't think anyone's favorite Transformers is one of the Insecticons, but you want to have them, right? You know, you need a guy for your Autobots to kick around. And now last but certainly not least, we picked up the Commander class Armada Optimus. Farmers recently got a ton of these guys in, and I was just waiting for the right sale because I'm a fledgling Armada fan. So what has happened is I saw this guy, everyone was talking about picking him up on the New Zealand Transformers Facebook group, and I was like, damn, that guy does look pretty cool, but I don't know too much about Armada. So what I started doing was I started watching Armada. I'm probably about 10 episodes into it now. And now that I've seen Armada, I'm like, well, now I need every Armada toy. I haven't gone out and bought any others yet, but I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for a good deal on Red Alert, Hotshot, Starscream, Wheeljack. There's so many. So this has just opened up a new avenue of collecting for me. I remember as a kid, I had friends who were really into Transformers Armada, and I was always like, oh, that's kind of lame. They got little guys. They need to be strong. I don't like that. I have no idea why I felt like that, but at the time I was like, that's so stupid. Of course, a couple years later when the Bayverse movies came out, I was like, suddenly Transformers was the coolest thing ever to me. But at the time, this just wasn't something I was into. I was watching other cartoons. I was watching SpongeBob. But I'm very glad to get this guy in my collection. I'm gonna be even more happy when I have more Armada guys for him to have a play with. So I really like how he says Minicon in the series as well, by the way. That's just an awesome pronunciation. That about wraps up another Transformers Hunt video. I always appreciate anyone who watches these videos. I do them for fun, so I hope you guys have fun watching them as well. And as a special announcement, in just 2 days from now, I will be flying back to my homeland of the United States of America, where I grew up, and I will be making my first ever toy hunt videos from the great state of Florida, where I grew up, everyone. So it's gonna be really interesting. I've been over there in 7 years, so you're gonna see my live reaction to what has happened to America and what has happened to Transformers in America. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that, because it's going to be something very different for my channel. I'm hoping people enjoy that, because usually I've been focusing on the New Zealand scene. So God bless you guys, and God bless America. Yeah. And I realized just now I completely forgot to film what Defender figure I got. Yeah, it's Astro Train.